In today's video, we're gonna go over half and full Ironman bike pacing strategies, which will help you to a better run. Hi, I'm Coach Duckworth. And as a human, just like you, it's really hard to hold back. And so today we're gonna go over some pacing strategies to dial in your bike split. As you can tell from my FTP test, I have a hard time holding back, and that's a very normal and natural behavior. So really knowing exactly where you need to be and the equipment you need to use will help dial in your bike split, which will obviously lead to a great run. So stay tuned, let's go over this, and let's help you have the fantastic bike split that you've always wanted. Let's talk zones. To determine your zones, you'll want to do an FTP test. Now, you do not need a power meter to perform an FTP test. You can get your power zones, and you can also get your heart rate zones. Once you have those zones, then you'll want to break it down by percentage. For a half Ironman, you want to be, for your power zones, between 77 and 88% of FTP, or your power zones. Depending on your experience, if you're a brand new half athlete, then you don't want to be at 88. You probably want to be hovering around 77% of your power. Now, heart rate's a little bit different. You want to be about 80 to 85% of your max heart rate for a half. And for a full, your power wants to be between 65 and 80%. Professionals are around 80%. So if you're a brand new full-time or a full athlete, then you want to be around 65%. For heart rate, it's about 70 to 83% of your max heart rate on the bike. And understand that you do have different zones from bike to run. The bike, your heart rate typically is about 10 beats lower than what your run heartbeat is. So keep that in mind. Perform an FTP test and find out exactly what your zones are. Now, once you have those zones, and now we know the percentage that we want to stay in during the test, then we need to have the right equipment to make sure that we're in the proper zone. I like to use the Wahoo Elemnt bolt. I like to have this right in front of my face. I also have a Garmin watch, of course, but it's a lot harder to read the Garmin watch while you're on the computer. So I like to have the Wahoo Elemnt bolt right in my face, telling me exactly the power I need to be performing in that moment of time. That brings me to our next piece of equipment, which is more a software. Once you have the Wahoo bolt, then you can get with your coach, or you can make a comment down below if you're interested, but we have what's called a Best Bike Splits account. Now, this account allows a coach or an athlete to make a course that they're doing. For example, let's take Oceanside 70.3. I put in my bike information, I put in my athlete information, and I can dial it all the way down to the road conditions and the type of wheels I have to make this as accurate as possible. I also put in my FTP, and I put in the percent of FTP that I would like to stay at during the race. And what Best Bike Split does is it takes all of that data and it comes up with a nice report that you can export and download into your Elemnt. So when you're at a certain section of that course, let's say a hill, then it will tell you exactly what wattage you need to be performing at that time to end the race at your prescribed goal or percentage of FTP. I really like this software because it also gives you an estimated time. Now, obviously, there's so many factors involved on race day that it's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a good idea of what you can expect, meaning that you can make goals and make realistic goals based off of your current fitness. Now, don't worry, if you don't have a power meter, you can still use this. It does have a guesstimation for miles per hour. It's not super accurate, but it's a pretty good gauge of where you need to be on certain terrains of the course. So again, if you're interested in that, let me know, put a comment down below, and we can connect and dial in your next big race. Let's review. For a half Ironman, you want to be between 78 and 88% of FTP for power. For heart rate, you want to be between 80 and 85% of your max bike heart rate. For full Ironmans, you want to be between 65 and 80% of FTP and 70 to 83% of max bike heart rate. You also want to make sure that you have the proper equipment so that you can see these zones during your race. Software like Best Bike Splits will really help dial in your race, and you don't have to overthink it. All right, I hope you liked this video on pacing strategies. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.